Today I'm bringing to you a very basic guide on caring for Phidippus Regius jumping spiders. I am by no means an expert. I'm very new to keeping jumping spiders myself. I have two in my collection, but these are some things I feel you should consider when you're new to jumping spiders or setting one up for the first time. I definitely feel like simple is your best option for jumping spiders, especially if they are small spiderlings. So let's have a look at the first step, which will be an enclosure. So what I would say is try to avoid an enclosure that has a flat top lid like this, because your jumping spider will usually make its little web hammock at the highest point of the enclosure, and one like this would usually cause you to tear or break its web when you're opening it for feeding or maintenance. So one that I would suggest would be a little cup like this with a domed lid. You can get these as smoothie cups. Sometimes you might find these with sweets in, or ones with donuts in like I have here, and you would need to make a small hole in the top and cover with mesh. And sometimes when buying your spider online, most places will have housing cups available for you as well at a small extra cost, like £1 or £2. This part you could put the food in and decorations. This part you will find that your spider will build its web inside. I've also found these sweet jars. You could buy these empty online fairly cheap, or some places your retro sweet shops may have these already filled with goodies for you. I like these because they look really decent as well. So good cross ventilation is needed for your jumping spider. Like I showed you the mesh lids on the little dome lid cups, and also here I have poked holes all the way around the edge of the enclosure. I used a dart to do this. You could use a heated up needle, and I also have some around the very top of the lid as well. So for decorating your jumping spider enclosure, again you want to keep it nice and simple. That's so you can spot your spider at all times. You can check on them, see how they're doing. They also don't require as much hiding space as most arachnids, so something simple like this will be best. A small layer of dry substrate, make sure it's not too damp, and a couple of fake leaves or plants. You can decorate how you like, with maybe some flowers or a couple of twigs and branches, but basic and simple just like that is all you would need for your jumping spider. So like I've already said, substrate in your jumping spider enclosure doesn't have to be damp. It's best not to. They do prefer it fairly dry, but for humidity and something for your jumping spider to drink, it's best to finely mist one side of your jumping spider enclosure. Just leave the water droplets to settle on the side, and if your humidity in the enclosure is correct, they should stay on the side for the rest of the day and the next day evaporate. I use a water sprayer on the mist setting, and most jumping spider suppliers also provide fine misters if you need them too. I usually mist my jumping spiders every 1 or 2 days depending on how quickly it has evaporated. So feeding your spider, that is the best part of keeping the spider. They're awesome hunters, and I feed mine every couple of days. With spiderlings, I use fruit flies. Yes, they do look a bit creepy, but if you put a tiny hole in the top and a sponge in, you can easily remove the sponge and tap out a few flies into your jumping spider's enclosure and put the sponge back in to stop the flies escaping. You can also buy fruit flies in smaller containers if that's better for you. I find the bigger tubs last longer and are easier to feed from. Once I notice my jumping spider eating a lot more flies and it doesn't seem like it's enough for them anymore, or if they take more than one fruit fly at a time, I move on to these. These are green bottle fly casters. I put 1 or 2 of these into my jumping spider's enclosure and let them hatch. And once the jumping spider has eaten them, a few days later I'll put another couple in. I keep them in the fridge because they will hatch at room temperature. So I keep this little pot in the fridge and just remove the ones that I need for my jumping spider. Roughly the kind of size of prey that you want to put in for your jumping spider will be around 3/4 to just over the same size as your spider. They can handle any prey within that size. So that's kind of a little guide there as when you may need to move on to larger prey. I try to put a minimal amount of prey into the jumping spider's enclosure. I prefer using flies. I know they're not really a harm to the jumping spider, but they can be a disturbance or annoyance, especially if the jumping spider is in pre-molt. If it makes its little web cocoon and it's sat inside, flies buzzing around it, might stress it out and cause a bad molt. So any prey that's left inside the enclosure, if I notice the jumping spider has gone in for molt, I will remove. Lighting for your jumping spider is very important and possibly the most important aspect of their care. They love bright light during the day and it's pretty much essential to keep your jumping spider correctly. Without light, it may go off its food or just hide inside of its web and not appear for very long until conditions improve. I think most people might find if you're losing jumping spiders, especially as spiderlings early on, or if your spider's not eating, it could be down to the lighting. I keep my spiders not in direct sunlight, but on the shelf opposite the window in the room. The light doesn't come directly through the window, but it does get brighter in the afternoons on this side, and this wall catches the light the most. I would say if you don't have a bright spot in your room that would be suitable for your jumping spiders, then maybe consider an LED light that you can use to place just over the jumping spider's enclosure and have it on, maybe use it for 12 hours a day on and 12 hours a day off, so they get the light that they need. They prefer temperatures of around 26 to 32 degrees Celsius, but they will also do well in temperatures between 21 and 25 Celsius. So I just keep my jumping spiders at room temperature. My house is always very warm in the summer anyway, and in the winter I can't stand the cold, so that heating is on and they're getting enough heat. So these are my 2 jumping spiders. I have my newest one, which is my Phidippus Regius Saroa. Her name is Sora. This is a housing cup I purchased when I got her. Decorated it myself on one of my previous videos. You could go back and watch that. She's a very small spiderling at the moment. You probably can't see her very well, but she has molted in the last week or 2. And this is my Phidippus Regius Florida. This is Juicy. I've recently rehoused her into this cup, into this enclosure. One of the new sweet jar style ones that I've purchased is a recent rehouse, and she has been building her web actually in the dome in the top right there. But while rehousing her, I got her out and placed her on one of the fake plants in my room, so I've got some shots of her to show you now. Hope you enjoy, everybody. I'll see you on the next video. Bye!